I'm just down a Soulmate, getting all the things that I need to start my running journey, according to social media. So stick with us for the next 10 minutes for a reality check, what you do, don't, and maybe need. So you want to start running, and why wouldn't you? I mean, it's a great way of keeping fit and, quite frankly, getting off the sofa and away from Netflix. Whilst from the outside, it seems quite, a simple hobby. I put on some trainers and I go for a run, and it is. But social media has done a brilliant job of confusing things and to say you need this and you need that. So we've put together this video to tell you what you do need, what you don't need, and in certain seasons, what you might need. The first thing, shoes. Now it might be that you're just starting Couch to 5k, or you might be nearing the end of Couch to 5k, or able to do 5k on your own without any help, and you're off on your running journey. But it is so important to get a good shoe. This hasn't got to be the most expensive shoe in the shop or online, but what we will say and what we would definitely advise is to get a good shoe. Now that might be that it's last season's shoe but on sale, and that's absolutely fine. But make sure rather than spending £70 on a £70 shoe, spend £70 on something that was £140 last season, just to get you good value for money. There's a couple of different types of shoes, especially for road running. So the first one is neutral. And what that means is as your foot lands as you run, as it comes down, it lands in a neutral position. So there's no movement of the ankle, which we'll come on to in a second with more supportive shoes. The second option is supportive or stability shoes. Now this may look like the same as the last shoe, and you'd be right. The difference in these two shoes, if you can see it there, is that word GTS, which stands for Go To Support. And what that does, is, on this particular shoe at least, is it puts what they call a guide rail around the shoe, and it just helps as that foot lands on the ground to keep it nice and stable. So if there is excessive movement in that ankle, or you've got a bit of weakness in that ankle, it just helps guide that foot through the cycle. A third option, probably unlikely, but a third option that you might do just based on the terrain where you're based, is something like a road to trail shoe. So this is similar to the last two shoes that I've shown you, but whereas it's got the same or very similar midsole, which is this kind of softer foam bit there, the bit that you kind of land on that's nice and comfy, underneath you see some grip that's more suited to running on trails or on kind of stone paths, canal paths, things like that. And this is what they call an all-terrain or a hybrid shoe, which will just let you do a bit of road and a bit of trail without wearing this down too quickly. So I've introduced the neutral and the stability and the road to trail shoe, and I bet you're now thinking, well, which shoes for me? How do I know which one to buy? First of all, you want to get something that's comfy and that fits you. And I think the best way to do that is to get into a local independent store like this one. But if you're not local, we understand you want to shop elsewhere. But go in, try some things on. Most local running shops will offer a gait analysis service. And what this means is we can look at how you run and recommend certain types of shoes based on how you run that will kind of elevate your performance, but also keep you or reduce the risk of keeping you injury free, and which is what you want. You don't want to be injured and sat on the sofa, you want to be out running. So if we can reduce that chance of injury by 20-30%, if that's what the metrics say, then that's got to be a good thing. To show you what we do in store at Soulmate, let's take you downstairs. So the way that we do gait analysis at Soulmate is using these two cameras and a system called RunRight. So to keep it simple, the camera will record you as you run on the treadmill for 20 seconds, looking at various points of the ankle, the knee, the hip and the centre of mass. And we can look then at different shoes and see which one works best for you in the way that you run, and advise on various exercises and strengthening techniques to improve your running. The next thing you need are a good pair of socks. What you want to avoid is anything with too high a cotton content. The reason for that is as you sweat and your feet get warm and moisture is created, anything with too high a cotton content will absorb that sweat and doesn't get rid of it. So it'll cause the material to start rubbing and you'll end up with blisters. The thing with socks is they're quite subjective. So just find something that you're comfortable in, is the right thickness for kind of what you find comfortable. But yeah, they do come in varying lengths. So this is generally a low cut that sits under the ankle. So your ankle sits in there. You've then got something that just sits over the ankle, so generally called like an ankle cut. and also a crew length with that longer sock that comes up on the calf. Then it gives that a bit more support, and especially if you're on kind of trails or things like that, it just stops a lot of the stones getting in. But the important thing is the specialist running sock will have moisture wicking technology built in. So as you sweat, that moisture is pulled away from the skin and to the outside of the sock, stopping the inside of the sock from getting wet and rubbing against your feet, keeping you warm and blister free. So what is next on the list of things you need to start running? So as you start to pick up the miles, you start to sweat a little bit more, moisture will kind of seep into your clothing, and it might start to rub in certain places. You might not even notice when you're running. It's just when you get in the shower after, and then it's very noticeable then. Anyway, so there are products like these by Bodyglide, his and hers. They also do a cream, and they also do a foot balm as well that will just stop things from rubbing and causing friction. So I can, if you can quite work out the shadow there, or the reflection, sorry. For various parts of your bodies, but that can be applied all over the body. So there's a specific foot one as well if you do suffer with blisters, but if you get the right fitting shoes, then you shouldn't need to worry too much about the foot one. Underwear, Anti-Chafe underwear, Hariba! Come and get some. No, genuinely, you've got the balms, as I said, the sticks to stop the Anti-Chafe, but hopefully you wouldn't need it if you just get some tidy underwear. Again, go back to the sock point, as little cotton as possible. It absorbs moisture. So get something like, Runderwear do great underwear, as do, I think Ronil have got a range as well, men's and women's, but also for the ladies, sports bras. So not only do they stop unnecessary movement, because did you know that 80% of women are running in the wrong size bra? 80%. Come and get a fit in. We do them, I'm sure other sports shops do them as well. And you can get some measurements online, but come and get a proper sports bra fitted. Not only will it stop movement, but it will stop chafing. The next thing is a cap. So not mandatory by any means. We've got loads of them here, as you can see. But for me personally, what I find with a cap is that it's great in the summer because it keeps the sun at your eyes. And it's great in the winter because if it's absolutely lashing down with rain, you can just drop your head a little bit and it keeps the rain from hitting you in the face. So definitely one of my go-tos is a cap. So I think the last item in terms of things you might need to start, or probably need to start, is something like this, which is a waist belt. We come on to what you don't need, but something like this just allows you enough room, 1 litre of storage there just to pop your phone in, and maybe a key. If you've got a pocket on your shorts, something that just does the job as well. But perhaps something like that, nothing any bigger than this. You just don't need any more than that to start off. So let's talk about winter. You need to be seen. You need to be safe. So the darker nights and the darker mornings coming in, you just need to make sure that, in terms of traffic, you need to be seen. So highly recommended to get something either very bright or something like this from Ronhill, which has reflective panels on it, which will reflect any headlights from the cars. So that will make sure that you're seen. If you didn't want to spend on new items of clothing, which can get quite expensive, there's also things like this, which again, you would just wear like almost like a waistcoat. I can't even do it, but anyway, that goes on like a waistcoat. And these black pieces then are fully reflective. So again, these will reflect any lights, but also you want to see where you're going. So how you do this, there's chest torches available. These are the ones that we use on the social run, and we provide to our runners every week. They're 250 lumen. There we go, nice and bright. So what that means, it's a measurement for how bright the torches are. So various torches will go up and down in lumens, and that's normally then associated with how much they cost. Generally, the more lumens on a particular brand, the more expensive the torch is. But this at 400 lumen, I think it is absolutely more than adequate for running on the road with the street lights and things as well. It just makes sure that you're planting your feet nice and safe. What don't you need? It's a big question, right? But it's very easy to get caught up in the TikTok and Instagram world where you think you need everything, and in reality, we've covered everything that you do need or possibly need. What you don't need are these things. Number one, nutrition. If you're just starting running, you're up to 5K, you do not need any energy gels or nutrition or anything like that, right? These are for longer distance to replenish carbohydrates that you're burning. So as long as you have a good diet, then energy gels you do not need for beginners. The other thing you don't need, or don't need to spend £130 on at least, is a hydration vest. TikTok tells you #vesties, but yeah, I mean, a litre of water, 4 to 20 litres of storage at the back. You know, if you're going into running, you're up to kind of 5k, even 10k. I mean, you just, even up to half marathon, you just don't need a hydration vest. Some people would prefer it, and there's lighter weight options available, things like that. Just carry a bottle, honestly. Save yourself £130, get some good shoes. You don't need it. The last thing we don't need, I'm sure there's more, like running poles, but the other thing we don't need is a shoe. This isn't one, but don't actually stock them, is shoes with a carbon plate running through the midsole. These are what they call super shoes, and the purpose for that plate is to take a lot of your energy as you land and propel you forward. Now the problem with that is that if you're a new runner, you're not strong enough to deal with the amount of force that's coming back through that plate. And what it does is it causes you to overstride, end up with hamstring injuries, etc, etc, etc. And it's very difficult in a shoe that is that aggressive and that responsive to run slower. I've had it myself. I've tested out a few sort of carbon shoes that we've got available through the shop, through brands. And when I'm on my slower run, part of my run before I get to my kind of tempo piece, I find it very difficult to keep the pace down in those shoes, right? So avoid the hype, the Nike Vaporflies, the Alpha Flies, all that sort of stuff that you'll see all over TikTok. Avoid the carbon plate, and on the medial side, avoid the blisters. They tend to be quite narrow. There's not a lot of support above the midsole on them. So as you land, you're likely to do that a lot, because this is nowhere near as firm or as cushioned or kind of hugging as the upper on a kind of standard daily road trainer is. So yeah, avoid the carbon plates. For the last thing that you don't need, certainly to start, is a very expensive watch. I mean, depending on what you want to pay, you can spend upwards of £1,000 on sort of, you know, the top end Garmin running watches. To start off, all you need, especially if you're doing couch to 5k type program, is a timer. So you can say, I'm going to run for 30 seconds, I'm going to walk for a minute, that sort of stuff. You can also get apps like Strava, which you can install on your phone, which if you wanted to record your route, you can do on that. There's no need, I'm not saying you don't want to, but there's no need to get an expensive watch. If you do want to get something to track your runs, as you can kind of see it on a map and perhaps have the social media element of it, it's something like a Forerunner 55, which is the kind of low-end running specific watch from Garmin is a good option. But yeah, no actual need to get something as expensive as I got suckered into buying. Anyway, so I think in summary, the number one rule to beginning your running journey is get a good pair of shoes. We covered it right at the start of this video, and I think that if you get a nice comfortable pair of shoes, it makes this whole process of kind of building your mileage and getting better and perhaps getting faster just that much more easy and more enjoyable. Nobody wants to be running in pain, so I think that is the number one takeaway from this video is just get the right footwear. Also, I think it's definitely worth saying is, you know, every town, it seems now, has multiple social running groups, and probably a more affiliated club. So in Merthyr Tydfil, as an example, we have multiple social running groups. Every gym seems to have a running group as well, but we've also got the kind of Welsh Athletics affiliated Merthyr Running Club, Brimbach, not too far away, etc, etc. So if you want a bit more structure, a bit more formality to it, the running club is the kind of place to go. If you just want to be around like-minded people and enjoy your runs and have a bit of a chat, the social running group is a really good option and a nice way to meet new friends and get fit. So good luck on your journey. Thanks for joining us. We see you soon.